Welcome to another installment of the iFish Illinois Data Portal Help video series. This video will cover data entry and management for surveys. If you have not yet watched the video called Data Organization, I encourage you to do so at this time to familiarize or remind yourself how data is organized in the system. Very briefly, I'll cover that in this graphic here, where you can see surveys are the top of the hierarchy in terms of how data is organized. And these arbitrary groupings of large sets of data are designed to help you organize your data into essentially big groups. You can think of this as a drawer in a filing cabinet. Within that drawer are several manila envelopes. Those correspond to site visits. We'll cover data entry and management of those in another video. And the same for samples. Samples are your data sheets that go in that folder, and that folder goes into a drawer. And so samples we'll cover in another video as well. So if we start at the home page and we make sure we're logged in, let's go ahead and walk through site our surveys and how we enter information for a survey. Okay, so when we choose surveys from the Fish assessment menu and then click on surveys in that menu, we come to this grid, and these are all the surveys that are currently in the system, 134 of them to be specific. And this grid gives you the year of that survey, the name that the user gave it. It has a category. We have several different categories we have created to help categorize surveys. And then it tallies the number of visits that are incorporated in that survey and the number of samples that are incorporated in all those visits that are part of that survey. And so if you want to create a new survey, you're getting ready to enter data for your, say, your fall electrofishing efforts in your district or your management area. We're going to start by creating a new survey using this button right here. When we do that, we get a very simple form where you enter the name of the survey that you're going to create. So you might call it Fall Sport Fish Assessments District 4 or something like that. Okay, and then give it the year. Let's say this is last year's data. So you can give this a name, anything that you kind of choose. Just suggest that you start to name things that in a way that makes sense, and so that you can understand what might be in here without having to dig through and look at specifics of each sample. And then go ahead and choose one of these categories. This is a required field as well. And so, we've created things that are regularly done within the division, like basin surveys or river and stream monitoring or annual species assessments or an impoundment survey. And so let's choose an impoundment survey for this one, and then this is 2018. And then this is just a general description, any note to yourself or to users of the data, what they need to know about this. You don't have to fill this part out. I'm going to just write in here that this is demonstration data only, so that we remember and know that it's okay to delete it before we go live with the system. And then in every one of these forms that you see, you'll have a workflow control that you can decide how to do your work and in what order. You can work in the hierarchy, first create a survey, then go and create a site visit for that survey. Or you can create survey after survey after survey as you work through your piles of data, and say during the winter time. It's up to you. In this case, we'll just go to the list of surveys. Okay, and we'll hit save. And so now your survey, or the survey we just created, is in this grid, but there are 135 items. So let's use our filtering ability to locate what we just did. Okay, and so what we're going to do is first just sort on the name, and I know I had District 4 in there. So we'll just say, as long as it contains District 4, and then there it is. This is the survey I just created. Doesn't have any site visits yet because I haven't done that step, and it doesn't have any samples yet because I haven't done that step. Now let's say, for instance, I do this and I realize that actually wasn't an impoundment survey. It was a different kind of survey. So I can go ahead and use this pencil, and I'll just go ahead and change that selection to an annual species assessment, go to the list of surveys, and hit save, and now that has been changed. So this is how you can change the name of your survey, you can change the year of your survey, and what have you. This is just a label you can stick on that file drawer, and if you need to change it at any time, it's up to you to do so. And so that covers surveys. The last step, the next step, and we'll cover this in the next video, would be to add a site visit that goes with this survey, and you can do that by clicking this button here, and that will launch that form. Or you can, let's go back to surveys, or you can choose site visits from the menu and create a new. The benefit of doing it from here is that when you click this and start the form, it automatically populates the survey from which you've selected. So you don't have to select that from the long list of surveys that exist in the system. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and we'll go back to surveys. And then the last function that we've got to cover here is deleting a survey. You cannot delete an item generally in this system if there are other items associated with it. So for example, if you have site visits already created in this particular record and you try to delete this, you'll get a warning message. So let's go ahead and try that. We're going to go look for some training data just so that we don't mess anything up, and let's go ahead and here's one that I created, and it has 6 visits in it and 5 samples. Okay, so if I go ahead and say I want to delete that record, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to delete this record? And I'm going to say, well, yes, of course I do. So I hit OK, and the message says you cannot do this. You cannot do this because it has site visits attached with it. So you can go ahead and clear out that message. And so if you really wanted to get rid of that survey, the first thing you'd have to do is go ahead and get rid of the samples and the site visits, so these two numbers are 0. Then you would be okay the system would allow you to do this. This prevents us from orphaning data because you don't want to have a site visit that isn't part of a survey, and you don't want to have a sample that isn't part of a site visit, because there's pieces of that data collection activity that are distributed across those forms. Okay, so that covers entering and saving and deleting and editing survey data. And the next video in the sequence would, of course, be site visits, so I encourage you to visit that one next, followed by samples. As always, you can always use the Help Video menu to locate help videos on a variety of topics, or contact us directly if you have a question. Thanks a lot for your attention, and good luck.